And you
Oh,
can
yeah.
walk around the neighborhood. I know, it's actually perfect.
Sorry, I'm just checking to see if anybody's waiting. Doesn't look like it.
You guys often have public comments?
Yeah.
Right?
Or not necessarily comments, but just people that want to attend the meeting remotely.
Look at this.
Yeah, this is our new piece.
Yeah.
So now people can actually hear us clearly.
Amazing. Nice work.
It's really nice to be able to hear who is speaking and what they are saying from anywhere in the room.
Right.
Huge improvement.
Yeah.
It's funny that like we're in Washington, which is so tech heavy, that it feels like all tech and all internet shouldn't have any problem. Have this down.
And even after several years of COVID and adaption, it, just even getting on to a Zoom meeting sometimes poses all sorts of challenges.
Totally. I think part of it is that we have so many trees. And so
Yeah.
if everything was underground, it wouldn't be as big of a thing, but
Anybody else dressing up properly?
Oh, I will definitely dress up.
Oh, do you have anything planned?
I haven't figured it out yet.
All right.
It's been a rocky couple of months, so I'm catching up, but something will happen. I have a couple in stock that I can fall back on. My daughter will dress me up.
so will you do it as trick or treating or will like do you do like a friend party also?
All of the above. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I am a big fan of dressing up.
Nice.
I may dress up the whole week.
All right.
Just, we'll see.
Excellent.
Any and all opportunities.
You dress up. You said you like Halloween.
I my boyfriend and I are gonna do a couple's costume. We're gonna do Ted and Alexis from Schitt's Creek. My boyfriend looks a lot like Ted, so it works. Just need to get him the scrubs.
Yeah, a couple of costumes are fun. That's when I used to do them. Are we recording?
Yeah, I guess it starts auto recording, so we are.
Okay, perfect. So at 6:30, we'll call to order and roll call planning commission. Commissioner White, Commissioner Teal, Commissioner Boulders,
Present.
Commissioner Carrera,
Present.
Commissioner Coulon, thank you. Oh, Commissioner Matlock is walking in. All right.
Hi.
Perfect. All right, so we will move on to item number 2. This is the opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. We do not have any people here in person. Do we have anybody online?
No.
Okay, so we will open and close that public comment portion of our meeting at 6:30. And now we are on to item number 3, the approval of minutes from September 17th, 2025. So do commissioners have any questions or comments, or we're looking for approval?
Approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Move on to item number 4, the sign regulations. This is the first review for prohibitions and exemptions, and we'll turn it over to staff to present.
Yep, so pretty self-explanatory tonight. We are not looking for a motion to pass anything. This is just to get some initial feedback on some critical sections of the code that will help me inform the more lengthy and detailed components that I will bring to you likely closer to the end of the year, maybe end of November, early December.
So would you like to go through, or are you looking for comments or questions from plan commission?
Looking for comments and questions at this time. If you do not have any at this time, please feel free to reach out over the next week or so if you would like some additional time to take a look at it. When Brian emailed earlier today explaining he would not be able to make today's meeting, he said that he had no comments. And I should probably send you a copy of the definitions list just to catch you up. We're starting to work on the sign code. We're doing an overall overhaul on it. starting with some of the basic components like definitions, prohibitions, exemptions, and that will inform what needs to be included on the rest of it.
Caitlin's also reached out to our business community to ask what's important.
Mike is correct. We issued out a business survey to both solicit feedback on important things that the business community wants us to keep in mind when updating the sign code, as well as how we are performing in terms of providing business support overall throughout the community. That went out 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks ago, and it will close next Wednesday, end of day. I checked, I think on Friday where we were at, and we had about 10 responses halfway through. I am planning to send out an email to businesses that we do have contact information for to kind of nudge it. It has been posted in the Snoqualmie Valley Reporter. Bree with our communications team posted it on social media as well. And I believe the Chamber of Commerce has also been informed about it, as well as the Downtown Foundation.
When was the last time it was updated?
There were some updates in like 2016, but largely most of it was developed in the 2000s. So it is not up to current standards. There's a lot of different types of signs. I can send you the PowerPoint introducing the topic that I prepared a couple months ago. That's kind of a good orientation, educational piece to all of this. I'll make a note to send that over to you after this meeting.
I just had a couple questions. How does signage on food trucks and at the farmer's market play into this stuff? Is that,
We don't regulate signs that are just a part of a vehicle. If they're parking the vehicle for the purpose of signs, we've got provisions in our sign code that regulate that.
okay,
So the food bank truck that's parked over there by Rio Bravo would be considered a sign since it has the name of the business on it.
The bookmobile. Yeah, so that would fall into an exemption in the sense that it is an advertising sign, but it isn't going to be parked there for multiple days on end constantly. So kind of think about some other similar kinds of signs that you would see. I see a lot of cars that have signs for a business or a service that somebody provides as either an individual business or part of a larger enterprise that kind of travels around. So like house cleaner cars that have a advertising sign on it. You see those mobile trucks that are like pet cleaners as well.
Right.
Kind of similar thing. So there's a general exemption carved out for those.
Okay,
Well, and here you address it under number 16, but it's a little confusing because you start off by saying off-premise signs in the right of way of Interstate 90 or SR 202. And then it's the next sentence, signs pertaining to or associated. So I think that all of those standards are great for, the identification on vehicles. I guess my question is just whether those are only for Interstate 90 or 202, or if that is for all.
You're talking about the prohibited sign section. So that is mostly speaking to freestanding signage on state rights of way.
Okay, so that is for 90 and 202.
Yeah, so it wouldn't apply to cars because in the exemption section, it talks about
At the number 15, you talk about, painted or affixed signs on parked vehicles. And I guess I would just ask, where you're saying parked vehicles, is there somewhere that we define parked so that food carts and mobile bookshops and all that really is exempt?
I think that could be more clearly described with a certain time limitation of
Yeah.
24 hours or more at a single time.
If it's for a business that's for that vehicle and that vehicle's in use, like the bookmobile, that's not something that this is prohibiting. It's more specifically when you see like those billboard signs in Seattle, trucks in Seattle where they park it and it's suddenly like this mobile billboard. That's what this is trying to get to.
Yeah, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, if you add a time frame, then it just makes it more clear. That's perfect. Sorry, I was jumping in.
No, that's, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, great comment. Thank you.
A question or comment on the printout that explains the exemptions here.
Mhm.
Number 2, flagpoles erected for the purpose of displaying patriotic or corporate flags. Number 1, is that saying that no more than 2 flagpoles use is permitted? And number 2, what about celebratory flags, like a flagpole that wants to display when the Seahawks win or someone wants to celebrate Juneteenth? Are those included under this, patriotic and corporate?
I think that's the intention. So this is in the exemption section, and basically all that is specifying is that it's not really subject to the sign code in that sense. So we can add kind of an peripheral section that's like
There's not a-
other miscellaneous.
It's not I don't imagine someone would put up 37 flagpoles, but there's no limit. You could have a flag for the US flag, the state flag, the city flag, corporate flag. If you wanted to go to that length, we would not be regulating that.
Yeah, and again, this is just kind of a broad prohibition on,
Exemption.
or exemption.
Right, so saying basically this shouldn't be advertising.
Right.
Or, advertising a business.
Yeah, because in the prohibited sign section, it does have some language about limitations, but we do need to talk to legal about that. I wanted to get people's feedback today, polish it up, and then send this first package over to legal for some initial feedback as well. But there are limitations in the prohibition section. Like, ideally, we should have like a size limit on corporate flags.
Agreed.
I don't think we want to see a 60-foot or 60 square foot flag advertising John Deere or something.
Right, your limitation under 8.2, flags exceeding 60 square feet.
We can specify that to corporate or business flags.
For 6 of the, section B, the exemptions, minor non-electrical resident signs, this includes header signs on site or off-site garage sale signs. Does this potentially also include like neighborhood/development entry signs? Like
No.
theater landing or
No,
something?
those are regulated.
Those are regulated, okay. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, that would be considered like a permanent residential sign introducing a neighborhood to people that are passing by or looking to drop their kids off for a play date. Trying to find the right neighborhood.
Thanks.
Excellent. So with these exemptions in general, is there a place where this isn't identifying temporary signs?
Temporary signs will be regulated separately.
Right. So if a signs falls within this prohibited signs, but is temporary.
It would fall under the prohibited section.
So if it's a prohibited sign,
Mhm.
but it's of a temporary nature, is it still prohibited or is temporary?
Right.
Mhm.
Is there something you're thinking of that?
Well, so a couple different things. So this is more of a personal level. The flags exceeding 60 square feet, like Tanner has a big American flag we hang from between the trucks,
Mhm.
way bigger than 60 feet, but it's up for a day.
I think
Is that
I think for that one, I want to adjust the language to be specific to business advertising flags that exceed 60 square feet would be prohibited. I don't want to raise any concerns around the federal flag code or First Amendment rights. That's not the intention of that. It's really just to limit commercial usage of
Yeah.
flags. Mhm.
But then the other one for utilities again, under your prohibitions, there's looks like 26 utility or public street feature. Kind of speak to some utility stuff, but there are water columns, electric, would have signs on the poles
Mhm.
that I don't see an exemption from this being a prohibited sign.
I think we put that kind of thing under the same exemption of utility or public street feature signs.
Are exempted, okay, so
If you have some added language on,
I'm just thinking more for like, if you want, for utilities, it'd be for employees, not for public.
Mhm.
That would be easy, like,
Easier.
keep that up.
Mhm.
I think all utilities you wouldn't want corporate signage or public signage, but utilities tend to put on poll numbers, things like that, that could fall under some of this.
Yeah, so we can make it clear that it's targeting any commercial or residential sign that's placed on a utility or public street feature. That's what the intent of that is. We don't want someone to stick 100 balloons on a stop sign and block the stop sign and cause an accident to advertise a birthday party.
When it kind of to that point, like that be separated more straightforward or put all together.
Mhm. Yeah, I could make it in like for example, but not limited to.
I have a couple of things. So on 20, where it says reader boards, except for those allowed by code, such as movie theater signs and marquee signs. And you mentioned in your comment that there's already some in the city, which are probably historic and grandfathered in, and I'm fine with that. It's just confusing where it says reader boards except for those allowed by code. And I'm just wondering what code or like,
To be created with the sign code amendment. So when I was doing some research into the old sign code, I think the reader boards that are referenced in the old sign code are referencing a very different type of reader board than we would see today. So I'm sure you've seen the reader board across the street. The gym has one. There's a church in downtown North Bend that also has one. I think it's referring to those kinds of signs that are a little bit more freestanding, rather than things that are more like a monument sign where it's affixed to the ground. It's a little bit more well-designed and attractive. The one across the street at the gym is less sightly, plasticky, kind of this vinyl material almost. And I think that was the intention of that regulation originally. So reader boards in a different sense will be allowed. There's like digital reader boards that a lot of municipal organizations use these days. Marquee signs and movie theater signs are kind of different than reader board signs, but kind of brothers in a sense. Mm-hmm.
so I guess when we get the code, then that will be cited.
Mhm.
That's what you're saying. Okay. And then kind of the same idea, 25.3, any sign placed in such a manner that obscures the vision of a motorist as determined by the city engineer. So does the city engineer just get to choose that, or is it a clear sight triangle, or like, are there standards around that, or it's just like whatever he
Is
says?
that city engineer or city, like, right away inspector?
we don't have a right away inspector.
I mean, it could also be brought into city engineer or code enforcement. I mean, really, the intent is just to make sure that there's no traffic hazards as a result of sign placement. I don't think that there's like a specific standard that's associated with that. It's more just like, is the sign blocking or partially blocking?
Right, so maybe like for, traffic safety as determined by the city engineer or something, because the way it's read, it seems like whatever the city engineer feels like he could just go for.
Made a similar comment there's a couple places referencing the director has a final say. And I think where we can, we should try to be as specific as possible in the code, because obviously the director shouldn't have to rely on their just judgment. They should be referencing something specific when they make a decision. And it should also ideally be clear to the public beforehand, like like if we can specify and be like, this is the decision they're reaching because of this.
What section was that?
It was, yeah, that was a good question. I pulled it up. There were a couple of spots. First one.
That'd be number 4 in the first part, for A4.
Yeah.
It's right, page 3.
Oh, yeah, so 18.20.030B. And in the enforcement section, director typically has authority to interpret ambiguous provisions. So I was just saying, anywhere we have a reference right now to director, we should see if there's a way to clarify it. So this is obvious.
Yeah, that specific change was just amending some of the language, because originally it said in the discretion of the community services director, which there is no community services director, so it was more like a correction to align with current city staffing and departments. We
The
also,
recreation fields one is a little bit of a odd duck because it's not truly managed by the city. It's done something that's done by the Little League that benefits the Little League. We allowed that because it's just kind of a kid-focused park. But the conditions could be something to keep it in appropriate time, place, manner, and not turning into something that.
Yeah, I mean,
The law that I'm used to, it's like zoning administrator would be given the opportunity to decide, but that was written into the state code to allow that power to the zoning administrator. So if the city engineer or if the director has, already some of that designation, then maybe we don't have to spell it out because it's already there in another code, but it would be helpful for clarity.
yeah, I would say it's kind of in like kind of some other discretionary decisions that are made at the director level, like landscape modification or administrative interpretation, or yeah, I think conditions in that sense would mostly mean that staff have discretion in terms of stipulating what would be allowed, time period, sizing, etc. But we can expand it to specify what we really mean by conditions.
I think it's helpful.
yeah, I mean, again, a reference, I'm sure Washington State probably has this address somewhere. So referencing the existing code.
I think we could just say something about as appropriate to address public health and safety, visibility, things like that. That gets to.
We just get a little worried when it's relying on common sense.
Yeah, we don't want it to seem arbitrary and like there could be room for any kind of favoritism between organizations.
Well, let's say if someone challenges the decision, right, they're really unhappy with the decision that was made. This, how do you argue it? So, well, with code, it's up to them and they decided.
Mhm.
And to that, actually, just at the beginning, we reference the sign regulations, like A 1 through 4. Will there be a link to those? Is there, can we do a link, or if the public wanted to find these, would they be able to?
We actually recently noticed that our historic design guidelines were not on our website. So that is something we can absolutely add a link to.
Yeah, I think we could easily create just a sign application page that directs people through the process of what they need to do for submitting.
Yeah, but in terms of like the North Bend Factory Store's tenant sign criteria and Mountain Valley Shopping Center plan sign program, I am not sure if that's something
I don't
that
think
we
we
would
have
have copies of. It would be something that the master developer that owns the overall property and manages it would implement. So what this exemption is saying is that the factory stores at the outlet mall and then the Mountain Valley Shopping Center, they have to submit to us for a sign permit. But in terms of like the design of it and the sizing of it, that would fall under those programs that would be administered by the developer. We're just checking to make sure that it meets lighting standards and that it's being attached properly to meet safety and building standards.
Had a couple of questions. I think you mentioned legal hasn't looked at this yet.
No, that's going to be my next step for initial draft.
Maybe I could just submit some questions for them when they review a couple. I just, initially reading through it, my first thoughts were like constitutional compliance with the First Amendment stuff. The first one, and the reason I asked for the time, I actually did a little research. It looks like there was a Supreme Court decision in 2015.
Yes.
Reed versus Town of Gilbert, which is promoting content neutral stuff. So in section 1827A, the prohibition is number 17. Posters not associated with movies, plays, theaters, similar performances. I think this is probably in violation of that, meaning our code has to be content neutral.
Mhm.
So I would be wondering if this is in compliance.
Yeah.
There's a couple others. Let's see. Here's one also, number 14 in prohibitions, real estate agent signs, advertised properties are not located within the city limits of North Bend. Also content-based discrimination.
That's not content though, because that is also about place. So not located within the city of North Bend. So if it were just real estate signs, period, that I think would be a content violation, but
Okay. Another one I had was number 23, signs affixed to fences with the exception of construction contractor coming soon. Curious if that may also have some content-based distinctions, allowing
We can-
commercial messages, but not.
I think we could instead put that under temporary signs.
Yeah, I think the intent with 23 is fences are unsightly. They don't perpetuate a message or an aesthetic that I think the city of North Bend really wants in its city limits, unless they do.
Yeah, I think again, that would be the good legal question, like if we can regulate things without and remain in compliance with the First Amendment. Two others I had, and these were less, but it's number 13, section A, obscene signs, including signs that bear or contain statements, words, or pictures, or obscene. Sorry, I was reading my notes. I'll have to come back to that one. And I think the main thing was, can we reference the RCW statutes when we talk about prevailing statutes? Can we just make a reference to them?
Sorry, what number was that?
Number 13, section A, under the prohibited. Let's see. Yeah, number 13 under section A.
Yeah, I can add a.
I made a comment on number 18, just if the sign type is allowed in certain areas, I think it should be removed from prohibitions list. And we simply state in the standards themselves that all signs are only allowed in certain areas. I think that's great. Personally, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but.
I think it's a good idea. I did have one more on 182007 Bravo .6. Other low quality, non-durable or inappropriate materials that are not suitable for climate and long-term outdoor placement. The word inappropriate seemed like it could be up to interpretation. Vague and subjective. I also was curious from an engineering, maybe, I don't know, it's engineering. There looks like we don't like aluminum on signs. And I was curious if there was a specific reason for that. Or the composite, aluminum composite. The very end here. Section B, outdoor sign materials are prohibited, aluminum composite material. I'm curious about that one.
Sorry, which one number is that?
Last page.
Yes, G2.
Very, very end. All the way down. Keep
Why
going.
is aluminum composite?
I know.
Aluminum, then like, oh, maybe there's more to it than that.
So ACM or aluminum composite material is a versatile lightweight panel made of two thin sheets of aluminum bonded to a non-aluminum core. It's sometimes used for signage, it's sometimes used for architectural facades or interior appliances. I believe the intent with the prohibition is that it's a flimsier material that is not as resistant to weather typically. And we just want to discourage those kinds of signs because they get a lot of wear and tear, they're a waste of materials, they might require you to replace them often, as opposed to something that is at least sealed.
Okay.
And then I guess similar question on glass, does that come out of a durability concern or I'm thinking within the historic district, neon is specifically encouraged and that relies on glass.
Yeah, I guess my main question was maybe just a double look at these to see if they should warrant still being excluded.
Also, these are outdoor sign materials, and I think most neon signs are indoor signs.
Not in our historic district. So like the North Bend Theater and Tweed.
But that would be exempt under the exemption section because it's in the historic sign district.
Yeah, I just don't want something to.
So we can write
This would trump.
glass outside of the downtown historic
Okay, yeah.
sign district.
Except for neon. We're into neon.
Did this come from another, like another jurisdiction?
Okay, and preferred to be indoor. So like, the open signs are usually inside, not outside. You don't want a bad actor to walk by your business, smash it and leave
Yeah.
glass and chemicals all over the ground.
There was the one I missed. Again, not super critical, but we have 1827A, so prohibited signs, 25.I. Signs with advertising that copy, imitate traffic signs. I think that sounds great. It's used, but then we specify specific words that cannot be used: stop, look, danger, caution, warnings, or go slow. Wondering if specifying the exact words and prohibiting those words is necessary or just too specific in this.
So we could use an example, but not limited to.
Or maybe even, I almost wonder if just signs with advertising that copy or imitate official traffic signs or signals should be not allowed. And not need to specify the actual words. I don't know if maybe you could play like a sign saying stop him for coffee, depending on how it looks that. I don't know.
Well, I think if it looked like a stop sign, that would be the intention there.
Yeah.
Like stop, coffee. That could confuse someone driving at a glance. And maybe a better way to phrase it would be signs that imitate traffic signs. Or no, that's what it's written.
It says signals to use such words as, it doesn't limit it.
Mhm. And we can include like et cetera at the very end. Or other similar words on traffic signage.
Yeah, I think my recommendation is going the other way. I don't know if we need to specify there. I think it seems very self-explanatory to me to just say no signs in advertising that copy or imitate official traffic or signs or signal. Seems like it would be enough.
If others support that, I can remove it.
Could be just.
And how do the rest of the commissioners feel?
That changed.
So, sorry.
Go ahead.
If the sign has a red octagon on it, but doesn't contain the word stop, would that be allowed? Because it says advertising copy.
I would say that still imitates the official traffic.
So that's why you say the or uses such words as.
Yeah, for me, I could go either way.
Some of this is going to be subject to interpretation. It's going to depend on the context. So if it's located on a business wall, people aren't going to think that's a stop sign. But if it's like something that's advertising some event that they put it out on the right of way, and that's a little bit of a stronger context that we need to consider those types of criteria.
You said this has to go by legal, right?
So maybe signs within the right of way or located offsite can't have these components to it. Could be a better way to phrase it.
It does help that you start 25 traffic hazard or public nuisances created by signs, and then it includes, so, I mean, for me, I feel like it doesn't matter if you have the words listed or not. I feel like it's the same. I don't mind them, but I don't mind not having them either.
Yeah, we can simplify it. I think that's a core guiding principle of this exercise is simplifying it. So if we feel that we can interpret this consistently as a sign that looks like an official traffic sign or signal, doesn't matter what the words are, if it imitates a sign that looks like a government sign that's supposed to regulate traffic and safety, then that is a problem, period.
Right.
So let's just simplify it.
Yeah, number two, you have signs that may confuse motorists or detract from any legal traffic control devices. So that's, that's right there as well.
Okay.
It's a cabinet sign.
Cabinet sign is a box-like sign that hangs off of a structure. So you say you have a building and you have a box structure like hanging off of the building that has a sign inside it with a plastic vinyl see-through sheet over it.
Like a marquee.
No, because with the marquee, those you can like easily remove the letters and they don't have like a box component to it. It's more
Okay.
well, we have a handout sheet that has photos of all the different kinds of signs that we'll talk about, and it'll be so helpful to have that. I promise I will send that.
Appreciate you breaking this up into. Signs.
I don't think that there's any other way to do this without all of this going cross-eyed. I think it would be really hard to try and tackle this all at once, which is what CED has communicated that they would prefer right now. They want to see large swaths of proposal to come through before in the hearing phase, after the planning commission hearing is complete on them.
Maybe at that point, it's appropriate.
Yeah, so I think if we're overall expecting full adoption, probably in March-ish, maybe April, we'll see.
Are there other thoughts, comments?
Just a question, just back to the last page, the glass. You know the sign, the barber shop outside, is it a glass?
I'm not sure. I was actually just there earlier today, so.
I was thinking about, the sign, the barber shop, like a tube, like a.
Barber pole.
Yeah, I don't know if it's glass then.
I think it is probably glass, but
Yeah.
you did specify barber poles in here.
Because it's an exemption.
Right. That
That's what I was thinking.
But this talks about materials.
Yeah.
Mhm.
right. Yeah, so which one,
She actually
which one
removed.
trumps it? I think you get to make the call.
Yeah, I would think the materials would trump it. It's an allowed sign, but it's still subject to sign material standards.
Mhm. So it would probably be considered an existing non-conforming sign where they're allowed to do maintenance and repairs on it, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to replace it unless it was a material that fell in line with what is permitted. And again, that would just be like a preventative safety component, again, we don't want a bad actor to come up, smash it, leave glass all over the ground that someone could cut themselves on.
Any more on this one?
I am just curious. I mean, this might not be the right place to ask me. I'd be curious to talk to the voters, just how does the city regulate signage on, I think some of this is appropriate to city property or private property, like business that. How legally how's the city able to regulate what is posted on a private property?
So we are allowed to create sign standards based on placement and sign type. And so what we have been talking about in previous planning commissions is dividing things up between different kinds of uses and it's signs that are most associated with those kinds of uses. So commercial, residential, government agency, kind of like an other catch-all institutional category. But it has an aesthetic component that people, I mean, if you post a sign on your property, the intent of that sign is for people that aren't in your home or in your business already to see those signs.
I just don't know how we can. Clearly it's in code. There must be a way. So I'm
Yeah,
very
it's
curious. to
under
ask
the
the-
general police powers afforded to government. So
Hmm.
it's an aesthetic issue, it's a public safety issue, it's a I guess community character issue.
So I'm interested on my part. I'm gonna have to look more into that. It's curious that that doesn't somehow conflict with the First Amendment in terms of like being able.
Well, that's where the content with the Gilbert case comes.
The
in.
Gilbert play, yeah,
But
and that's regulating the.
time, place and manner
Yeah.
are afforded to jurisdictions to regulate.
Mhm.
And then those would usually be in regards to public spaces, that I think, right?
No,
Time- time, place,
private.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to detract from the meeting. It's just,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I'd love to know more about it. The last one I had is, do you guys already know maybe across town, are there any signs that exist today that would be affected by these?
No, so those would be considered non-conforming signs, legal non-conforming. And if you have an existing non-conforming use, right, regardless whether it's a sign or a building or any other type of thing that doesn't meet current code, you can continue to have that. You just are limited in terms of expanding it, replacing it, things like that. So when it comes time to replace it, there's often provisions that require you to come into compliance with the current standards.
Do we know any that might be not in these proposed standards? Assuming the gym here is probably their sign, is that gonna be going away when they have to replace it?
I think.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. There's also the fence sign that's over on the, oh gosh, what is it? The green tractor business. It's not a John Deere, it's,
You're talking about Sunbelt Rentals of it?
yes, I am. Yeah, so Sun Valley Rentals loves to put signs on fences, which in a short-term sense could be permissible, but not in a perpetual long-term. So we have another business in town that has a banner sign and they aren't allowed to have a banner sign for more than 30 days at a time, but it's been up for about 7 or 8 months now. And they refuse to put in a fixed sign on or only use like movable, like sandwich board type signs.
So here's an example. So this is like right across the street. So this is a non-conforming sign. It's mounted on the roof. It's a box sign. It would exceed the size limits. So that would not be allowed by the current code. And we have non-conforming use regulations that say if you've abandoned a non-conforming use for more than a year, which includes signs, you then lose that non-conforming status. So because it does not have any sign in it, they've lost that non-conforming status and we can't just put up a new signboard.
That one, I'm curious what the old business was. Did they do like masonry, like?
Yeah, there was some sort of flooring and, masonry.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of.
Yeah.
Display.
I thought it was an antique store. I saw an old wood chair in there when we went by earlier.
At some point too.
Does this have effects on like political signs?
No, political signs cannot be regulated whatsoever, other than we can regulate where you place them in the sense that we.
For the sense of public safety,
For the
there's
sense
a
of
strong
public
limitation.
So you could put up like a 10-foot by 20-foot sign. Because it would be out of compliance with size.
So we can regulate the types of signs that are allowed. So let's say you have a 10 by 20-foot political billboard. If we prohibit billboards throughout town, which I believe is in the prohibition list, then you can't have a political sign that's a billboard.
Okay, so
We do allow other kinds of signs though throughout the town that you could do political signage on, and that would be okay. It's more about type rather than content.
okay, so for example, there's a sign that usually goes up in that vacant lot near Park Street and 202. That's fine because the sign itself fits in the size, or is it the
So
definition of the size?
under what we are proposing in the sign code, it would be considered an existing non-conforming sign, which they're allowed to maintain, they're allowed to change the face. But if they do repairs that exceed a certain amount of money or more on it, then it would not be allowed
Okay.
anymore. Thunder.
Okay, other thoughts on signs? In the same bogey.
Yeah. I know. Those are probably things I-
Good work on this. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the feedback. It gives me a bigger perspective of things. Always appreciate the questions. Please reach out with anything else. I will try and bring something to you at the November meeting.
Signs are a challenging topic too. There's always a lot of interest in it. They are tricky to regulate.
I
Opinions both ways.
will also make sure that at the next meeting, I give you high-level summary of what the business sign code survey,
Yeah. that would be
Yeah. what the results of that were. Mhm.
In the packet.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I won't be here, so.
I'll be here. That's in a month, right? Our next meeting's in a month because the fifth?
November 5th. Yeah.
I misread the number on it. All right, yeah, I'll be here.
What's the progression? So we've gotten, this is the initial look. It sounds like legal will look at it. You'll get feedback from the community. Will we look at it again on the 5th, with the new draft?
So what I would anticipate at this time for the 5th, I would expect definitions, prohibitions, and exemptions to come back with legal feedback and all of your feedback that I've received so far incorporated into it. You may also get a first touch on more administrative and enforcement standards, still also high-level things. Once we feel good about that and I get a second round of feedback, then I'm going to start diving into more specific design standards. So size, type, per zone, per use, where you're allowed to place them. Those kinds of standards will come after that, but they will also be broken up into smaller, finer pieces so that nobody is overwhelmed and we stay focused on a specific component of it as we go through it. Mhm.
Perfect. And if nothing else, we will adjourn at 7:15.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.